Okay, let's help us all understand how alchemy works through the context and the analogy of ores. So, to help people understand how to use their alchemic refinement or their understanding of the alchemic refinement, we've made it easy to kind of break it down into gold, silver, and copper. Now, it's not just gold, silver, and copper, it's also all the ones in between. There's gold, silver, there's silver, gold, there's silver, silver, copper, copper, silver, and then there's copper. So there's people have a mix in between as well. There's also gold, copper. It's a bit of a stretch, but it does exist. Those are the ones we call shabby chic. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about this is so that we can finally eliminate the judgment and bias of misunderstanding when people are of different alchemic refinements. If they're gold, silver, and copper, we actually have on the back end of our algorithm an entire periodic table that has all the different alchemic components lined up with the different volumes and variations of gold, silver, copper. See, most people aren't just gold or aren't just silver or aren't just copper, although there are people who are like that. Usually people are of a little bit of a mix. Like sometimes there's like a 4, which is, again, this is our tech in the back end. There's like a 4 in their gold, a 2 in their silver, and a 1 in their copper, which means that there's certain ranges of tolerance for the gold, silver, copper dynamic. Now, golds, of course, let's kind of define that, are for those, usually people who are pure gold. That means like they have a 7 in their gold and they have 0 in the silver and copper, right? These are the people who live a very high standard of living. These are the people who live in a home that looks like it's staged to sell every single day, right? Even though they're not selling their home, they just live that way. Everything that you can't see is also completely organized. That's typically a standard representation of that refinement, right? The challenges that may come from that is that because they have such a high standard for themselves, they go about their day in their world with that level, that standard of refinement. So oftentimes they are misunderstood of coming off a little judgy because they have that high of a standard. But what that all is to understand this technology is to recognize that it's nothing personal, it's just how they approach life, how they live their life, their level of expectation for themselves and the world around them, right? So you have to kind of recognize, kind of like that whole concept of you don't know what a person is going through until you actually understand objectively what's going on and what they're all about, right? Silvers tend to be a little bit more pragmatic. Silvers, based on our periodic table of alchemic refinement, they get along with the most people. There's a broader range of people. Silvers are the most compatible people with the world. Again, remember, when you think about it, based on the periodic table, there's ranges. What we basically understand is that the further you are away from the other person or the environment that you're in alchemically on this periodic table, the more dissonance happens alchemically. So silver's more pragmatic, they're neat, they tend to be organized, but they're very practical by nature. And depending on the high silver or low silver side of the scale, there's different variations. There are people who tend to have a little bit more refinement in that organization and pragmatism. But there are some people who are a little bit more on the copper side, and they tend to be more organic and more relaxed in their representation. Then of course there's the copper. Coppers are like the grounding lightning rods for the entire planet, so to speak. They're the kind that will roll up the sleeve, boots to the ground, get it done, land the plane, let's do this. And that's why it's really important to understand that it's important to have a representation of all three alchemies the larger the organization gets if you are using alchemic refinement as a way to understand how best to build your organization. These are the people who are the engineers. I used to work in the video game industry where they called the development area where all the people and the developers are working called the dungeon. And down there, it was kind of a cool space. They made it look like a dungeon, but it was kind of a cool techie dungeon. And there were a lot of people of the silver, copper, or copper representation there because there was no need to be neat or refined or clean. They just get it done, code it out, build out what needs to be done. And so that way marketing and the rest of the company can bring that game into the world, right? So each of these alchemic refinements have an optimal way to express, optimal way to live, an optimal environment to thrive in. So it's really important that first and foremost to recognize that just because someone isn't of the same alchemic ore as you, if you're a copper looking at a gold, if you're gold looking at copper, I mean, here's the thing is that when we go into open workspaces and if we reorganize the seating arrangement to put all the golds on one side, all the silvers in the middle, and all the coppers on the other side, productivity literally goes up by 25% or more because there's less alchemic dissonance that happens from people working next to each other. This is the power of understanding objectively and releasing all judgment and bias around those who may or may not be the same alchemy as you, so that there is deeper understanding about the nature of human dynamics, the nature of you and different environments, so that you can cultivate a lifestyle that truly supports your ability to continue to thrive no matter where you go and based on whatever decision that you make in terms of where you live, where you work, and how you keep your space and the people that you're around.